Let's jump to this good fun story we have here from the New York Post. Kathy Griffin slammed for saying Republicans will start a civil war. The first thing I want to say
Tim,
is
she stole your line.
No.
The
New York Post is wrong. Hold on. New York Post, you need to issue a correction. She did not say Republicans will start a civil war. Oh. She never said that. Mm-hmm. That is defamation and slander of our good friend Kathy Griffin. What she said was, if you don't want a civil war, vote for Democrats in November. If you do want civil war, vote Republican. She did not say in any capacity that Republicans would start one. In fact, she didn't in any way imply either. She didn't state either side would, but she implied Democrats would. Mm-hmm. Let's do some basic logic real quick. If you vote for Democrats, they win. There won't be a civil war. That means Republicans will do nothing. If you vote for Republicans and they win, and she says there will be a civil war in that capacity, well, Republicans aren't going to start a civil war after winning legitimate power.
Fighting? Yeah.
The Democrats would have to start fighting with them. Otherwise, they're in power. She's actually implying Democrats will start a civil war. Many people pointed this out. She's basically issuing a threat.
Yep.
If you don't vote for us, we are going to war. Well.
And Twitter's cool with it. They're
civil war, drink.
Yeah, leave it up.
This is the second one. She did cut the Trump head.
I think it's
and
more
it
the
held that
second.
bloody head. This is kind of another weird, visceral statement.
It's just shock value. I think after that Trump head thing, she should just went, you know what? No more internet for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
Siraj,
after this. I think
where's
I did
the
enough.
list?
Yeah.
Take her phone away.
Seriously.
I saw her try to work it back and say, if the Democrats are in power, they'll be able to hold off the MAGA Republicans from starting some sort of war. That's what I meant by the tweet, but I don't think that landed.
Well, so she's implying that the MAGA Republicans get elected, are handed the keys to the castle, and then they're going to go, and just start running around and smashing things?
Makes no sense.
They have legitimate power. They've won an election.
They're
Why would they do anything like that?
They're all crazy white people, Tim. We don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, don't know what white people are capable of.
Well, that's true, but then you end up with people like Tim Scott. They act like doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I wonder how much of Kathy is getting taken out of context because did she say this verbally or was this in text?
It's a
This
tweet.
is a
All
tweet.
tweet.
'Cause she's a comedian. Text, your jokes don't always translate to text.
Oh, come on.
I don't think this is a joke. I
Yeah.
mean, it does seem like a cry for attention. She did have that reality TV show that was like My Life as a D-list Celebrity or
she
something.
did?
Oh, yeah. This is way back in the day.
She's a D-list celebrity, so I never heard of it.
Said it herself.
She really does need people to notice her whenever possible. So I feel like, again, she's somewhat political openly a lot of the time, but also, she has to stay part of the relevant conversation.
As somebody who's half of their tweets are completely nonsensical and hilarious. Yes, I'm saying my jokes are funny. I feel for Kathy Griffin if she's taken out of context. The only issue is she took a photo of herself holding a faux severed head of Donald Trump.
It's hard to get out of context.
Yeah, she's literal. Look, I think my tweets are funny because I'm intentionally trolling and screwing around. And the fact that some people believe... So I'll tell you this. I tweeted when the left was ragging on the song we put out. I said, the success of Only Ever Wanted proves that deep down Americans crave powerful emo music, but the globalist corporate elite are conspiring to suppress it. And they started sharing the tweet on Reddit and other posts being like, Tim Pool literally thinks this. And I'm like, that was so overt in its nonsense that no sane person would believe I was telling the truth. If you were to look at what Kathy Griffin is saying and you think she's joking, then I think you're being equally dishonest.
I think this is this year's Democrats Get Out the Vote campaign. If you don't vote for us, it's going to end in civil war. And they want you to believe it's Republicans, but as Tim is completely right in pointing out, it's actually the Democrats being like, we will riot. We've been doing it for a little while here. Everyone's cool when we do it, not when any Republicans do it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy that she can post this, it can stay up, and she's going to be like, no, I'm in the right to say it. This is a get out the vote.
It's all fear tactics. I mean, she seems clearly inspired by Joe Biden. We watched his last speech where he's talking about, the MAGA Republicans are the threat to America. It's what we all have to worry about. They hate this country so long as they don't win. I think they're really just pushing fear, 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 and please get out and vote for us or else.
And it works.
Yep.
It works. And, a lot of Republicans are like, oh, it's going to be a red tsunami and we're going to win. And I'm like, yeah, you better operate under the assumption it's going to be a blue wave and get out every single person you can. Because I'll tell you, even if you do win, the likelihood the Republicans, the Republican leadership will do something is low. So you need to make sure the win is overwhelming so that, look, if in swing states you get moderate Republicans who win, then they're going to jam things up and be like, no, now listen, we can't play that way. We had Rick Santorum on. And I respect the guy, but he was like, we can't play that game. We got to play by the rules. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, dude, I get it, play by the rules, but playing by the rules also means you subpoena them when they do something illegal. You don't say, well, that's too much and too far. Well, that's what they're doing. They're going after Trump. They're going after Bannon. They're going after people on the right. They put Peter Navarro in shackles. So maybe Republicans need to win and just, get some subpoenas and do some investigations. Figure out what went on with Crossfire Hurricane. Maybe get some accountability for Russiagate.
Yeah. And I think if you are a conservative-leaning voter, it's much better to look at the tsunami after it's hit than to be like, I think it's coming. I'll just pretend and then it turns out it's nothing. There is, I think the Republican Party is prone to complacency, and they think they're being forgiving, being like, well, we're not going to follow up on any of these things. We could press charges, but we're going to be the bigger people and move on. And it's like, no, actually, you are letting the justice system fall by the wayside by being inactive and becoming complacent.
Yeah, the riots of 2020 was an example of that.
Yeah.
Like day 2, where was the National Guard?
And all they said was like, well, if we start prosecuting people, it'll probably get worse, right? We're being mean.
We're just reactionary and just reactive. We're like waiting for them to come to our backyard to react to them and then going, oh, well, there was no laws to protect me for this. Oh, so sorry.
Yeah. So I get called a black pillar a lot because I'm constantly like, hey, guys, I'm not convinced there's going to be a red wave. And they're like, oh, just let it happen. I'm like, no, you can't do that way. You need to be taking every single possible step you can. You need to be getting other people involved in voting. And I've been going back and forth with a lot of people about whether we should fight on their level. And I think the ultimate answer is that, yes, we should as far as lawfare goes. And then as far as like character goes, we need to stick by. See, that's where your conservative principles can actually come out. Is in your character. You don't need to do what they do. You don't need to cancel people as hard as they do, but you can fight back on the level playing ground that is supposedly
there was a poll
stuff.
from the Trafalgar group, I think, today that said after Biden's speech, a lot of independents, and I can't remember the percentage, but let's say 30% swung and were like, that speech
That's
was like
not cool.
aggressive rhetoric. This is inappropriate. Like, this is not right. Obviously, high percentage of Democrats thought that speech was wonderful. Lots of conservatives were like, wait, no, that's insane. But it was the independents who were like, you're losing us here, Joe Biden administration, the Democratic Party. Like, this is not something that we support. I think it was like, I wish I had the number in front of me, like 50% were like,
it was a lot. Yeah.
Over 50% were like, we are against how this presentation and the way this looks. I think in some ways, the Democrats themselves are showing their true colors. But I can't stress enough that I feel like the Republican Party's one of their biggest issues is that they become complacent and they're like, got it in the bag, let's all just pack up and go home, and that's how you lose.
No, we need serious asymmetric, what would you call it? I guess culture warfare.
Lawfare.
This is a culture, Well, lawfare, I'm open to being equal. We should be treating the law equally among all people, but if you want to win a culture war against a communist infusion or whatever the hell is happening, you need deep spiritual power. You need some sort of imbalance of power to win that. And that, I think, is internal. It's meditation, consciousness, listening to people, being willing to cry. That comes out.
The way that we communicate is so different to the way that progressives communicate, and I've learned that a lot just having worked on both sides. Their grassroots organizing endeavors are insane, and they're very well run. They're in the communities, running around, knocking doors, having conversations with people, and having very emotional conversations with people. And I think that's what influences voters. Conservatives, we're not very emotional. Nope. We don't use like a storyline in order to influence people. And as far as his speech, he had an amazing opportunity to hop up there and give a message of unity and say, we can coexist. There is a way that we can unite out of this, and I want to be the president who does that. But he fumbled the ball, and at least that ball's now in our court.
Yeah.
I think the play was, you're going to fumble. The other team's but then we're going to recover it and run it in for a touch. Like, it was like the speech was written as a fumble.
See, I feel like it wasn't actually about unity because of the lines about the right-wing extremism.
It was not.
It was like under the guise of patriotism being like, look, I'm in front of Independence Hall and they've got all these great colors and look at those Marines. And then it's like, but remember, the MAGA conservatives are the devil. And if you vote for them, you are going to set our country on fire.
The emotion thing,
not a unifying message.
The emotion thing is everything.
Yes.
Right now, the Democrats are heavily just targeting emotions, hate and fear, hate and fear. And I think people on the right, as you were mentioning, they're not very emotional. They don't get it. Ben Shapiro, thinks he'll make a logical argument and convince you, but in fact, he's only speaking to people who are already logical, and people who are already logical are probably already more right-leaning. So I know this from having done street fundraising, and I'm canvassing, where we would go and talk to people on the street way up high. They always give you these spiels, and they would be like, say this. And they were very methodic, logical. Hi, my name is this. I work for here. Here's the problem we face. Here's how you can help.
Right.
And of course, that stuff never works. And they don't want you to say anything else, like for legal reasons. But I was like, dude, I can get people to sign up for anything without saying a single fact. Like, they're worried about you saying something factually incorrect and then giving someone gives a donation and then you've got like a, liability issue or something. And I'm like, just tug on their heartstrings. Just, so the pitches I would do were often very much like trying to make people cry.
Yep.
Just like tell them a story about, talking about homeless people. Telling them a story about a homeless person that no one loves. Imagine what it must feel like that no one's there for you and no one loves you. And then when you finally do see someone walking down the street, they look at you with disgust and they spit on you. And then people are like feeling bad and then they donate.
The best sales pitch I've ever seen was this guy selling door-to-door children's encyclopedias who was like, yeah, I took this opportunity to be out here because my fiance's here, but it's really hard and they didn't tell you that our wages would be awful and we have to buy the product first and we all have to share a van and I have to sell these because otherwise I'm in debt to the company and I watched so many people buy that guy's encyclopedia. He might as well have been selling I don't even know what, but
if you go up to somebody and say,
he also may not have had a fiance. I just want to put that on the table. I have no idea.
Could have been lying. The whole thing could have been a lie.
The same is true for the right. Like if you were going to make a pitch and say like here's why Democrat policy is bad, right? Joe Biden, he's enacted these policies such as banning fracking on public lands, which has caused a spike in speculation. Now here's a logical reason why that's going to. They don't care. They don't care. They say you're lying. They say it's fake news. Donald Trump is bad. He's evil. You need to go out and like drive emotions. Talk, just create a circumstance where you make them feel something and then point them in the direction of what that's what the Democrats do. They say, bad stuff, Donald Trump, bad stuff.
Our best bet is like going out there, talking about the state of the economy right now, how American families are hurting, talk about this defund the police movement and how it's hurting low-income minority communities, tug on the heartstrings there. And it's not a hard thing to do because it's real. It's actually happening. People are seeing it in their backyard. Parents are getting galvanized because their students are being affected in this public schooling system that's completely failing them. If you use those emotional stories and then, plug in the facts there as you need to, people will get behind you.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.